Buildings have the biggest impact on the planet, more so than any other industry. More so than even cars, buildings are responsible for the mess that we're in. Nearly half of all global warming emissions come from our buildings, not our cars. Only 30% from our cars, and 10% are the passenger cars that you and I drive. All told, 72% of our energy materials go into our buildings, not our cars. 40% of all of our energy go into our buildings, not our cars. So more so than any other industry, architects, designers, contractors, engineers, we're the ones to blame for the mess we're in. And luckily, we can do something about it. Now, it's easy to point to the car and vilify the car and blame the car and look at the legacy the car leaves behind. But somewhere along the way, about 50 years ago, we decided that we were going to sacrifice landscape for hardscape. Somewhere along the way, we decided that you can't have nature and the built environment together. And the two couldn't coexist. And you had to get rid of one to have the other. And in doing so, we put ourselves on this path towards, well, inevitable destruction. Take suburbia, for example. We build these houses, anonymous houses out in suburbia, and then we give it this pretty name. And if we call it Quail Run, you can pretty much rest assured they've decimated all the quail in order to build it. So maybe what we need is a better name for suburbia, a more appropriate name. Something like this. Now, this is in Photoshop, by the way. This is a real place. And the mayor of Shitterton says that his biggest problem is that people steal the sign 4 times a year, which I think is funny. Despite everything that we know about green building and our impact on the planet, American houses have more than doubled in the last 50 years, even though our families have technically gotten smaller. And when we put ourselves out in the suburbs, we sacrifice Main Street as well, so we end up with something that looks like this. Something that guarantees that I don't even need to get out of my car to get the fat, disgusting, greasy food that I need 24 hours a day, because getting out of my car, that's too much trouble. So let's knock down Main Street and do this instead. But we know what a sustainable city can look like. We have a blueprint for what a sustainable city could look like. For hundreds of years, we've known what a sustainable city could look like. An Italian hill town, if you think about it, is really a perfect example of a sustainable city. Slow cars or no cars, walkable. High density in some areas, low density in others. And they understand the boundaries of the city, because look at the edges. You can actually see nature. What do you not see in the landscape? Well, you don't see a big stupid Walmart out there, do you? They understand the value of understanding and respecting the city, and we can learn lessons from this and apply it to our own cities today. If you think about the places that you like to go, the places you like to visit, is it the access to fried, disgusting foods that you like so much? Is that what you find so enjoyable? Hopefully not. No, it's everything else. It's the weird, freaky people and the weird shops and the quirkiness and the non-chain stores and the local residents and the density and the hustle and bustle. What if we redesigned suburbia? What if we rethought suburbia as a failed experiment and we reimagined it as something else? What if we didn't donate half the yard to a driveway? What if we repurposed it for walking or for biking, God forbid? What if we didn't dedicate half the facade to a garage door and put windows so we could, I don't know, see our neighbors for a change? Imagine the ramifications of if we just committed ourselves to redesigning the way things are. I know. Instead, what we have is that we have 90% of the houses are built by non-architects. And 1 in 4 houses in this country, well, they're built by these 8 companies. And in 10 years, it'll be 1 in 2. Is this the legacy we want to leave behind? The houses are all the same. If they put them in Arizona, they call it Cactus Run. And if they put it in Florida, they call it Palm Dunes. But it's still the same crappy houses. And in building these houses, we generate an immense amount of waste. We generate enough waste from building one house to fill 1 bedroom, wall-to-wall, floor-to-ceiling, with rubbish, with trash, most of which ends up in the landfill. And it's about 50 cubic yards, 4 tons of waste. And the sad part is that 85% of it is recyclable, potentially valuable resources that we could reuse and build new buildings.